Hello, welcome to CEAZOR Snack Sandwich. Today I'm going to talk about Alchemix because Alchemix has got version 2. It's pretty new. It's been a while since I made a video. I did make a video a long time ago about this, but they've changed some stuff pretty drastically, and it's worth covering it again. Now, I came across Alchemix when I saw this pool here. It was something like 800% when I jumped in here. And now it's down to about 32%, but like with $5.5 million TVL. So it's a pretty healthy pool. You can come and check this out. It is a boosted pool. So some of these tokens, as you can see, some of these tokens are sent to Yearn to gain yield, as well as ALX liquidity. So the rewards are in Alchemix, Alchemix, which is staked Alchemix tokens, beats, and then swap fees, and then that Yearn boosted APR as well. Now, the docs on Alchemix aren't too great. They're not completely fully hashed out for someone who is just a normal person just trying to read paragraphs. They do have all the functions and all the explanations of like function calls and stuff like this. But like I said, it's not particularly easy to read for most people. So I would suggest you to read through the Medium articles if you want to verify what I'm going to say. But today I'm going to kind of go through what Alchemix is and how it's changed with the flowchart. So let's swing over to the flowchart and take a look there. Okay, so here we are on the flowchart, and here we have Dollar Bill, and he has some tokens that he wants to borrow versus. He wants to retain his tokens, and he wants to borrow against them. Now, the key point of Alchemix is when you borrow versus your tokens, the yield of the tokens, your token is put to yield, and that yield is used to repay your debt. So they call it self-repaying debts or self-repaying borrows. Okay, so they have two types of assets. They have a US dollar stablecoin and an ETH pegged, I guess I would call that a stablecoin as well. It's a token pegged to the price of ETH. So anyhow, so what Dollar Bill can do is he can supply these collateral to the Alchemix contracts and borrow half the value in US dollars or half the value in Ethereum. Now, I'm going to use US dollars for the rest of this explanation, but know that it's the same thing for all of these ETH pools as well. So the version 2 has multi-collateral for a single debt position. So if you put in DAI, USDC, and Tether of different values, they all are, that value is combined when you borrow versus debt versus it. So it used to be only DAI that they would accept, right? And they used to only accept WETH, but now they're accepting three kinds as collateral, and you're able to borrow AUSD versus that. So $100 in and $50 out. Now, some people will think this is not great, right? But like I said, the yield that comes from when they deposit this into Yearn is used to kind of repay people's debt, okay? And you'll understand this more as I go through things a little bit further. So the second thing about this version 2 is they have now a multi-strategy. So they don't need to send all of these stable coins or all of these coins to Yearn solely. They could send it to other contracts if they find something suitable and safe enough. So $100 of, let's say USDC goes in, and it goes over to Yearn to gain some yield, and Dollar Bill borrows $50 of Alchemix US dollar. Now, what can he do with these Alchemix US dollars? First, he could swap them on Curve for any of these other assets, these three pool Curve token, these three CRV tokens, like any of the three pool tokens, and then he could take those and use them for whatever he wants. He could go buy a car, or he could buy a house, or he could, put them somewhere else in DeFi to earn APY. Alternatively, he could deposit them to earn APY. So he could deposit his Alchemix US dollars into the liquidity pool, just single-sided, right? Get the liquidity pool token and stake that into Convex over here to earn CVX and CRV. Now, why does this pool have CVX and CRV rewards? It's because Alchemix bribes the votium to vote on the Convex, who votes on the Curve pool to get CRV rewards and CVX rewards and so forth. So Alchemix is bribing votium, so the CVX holders can can take advantage of this bribe. Okay, so that's what dollar bill can do. Now let's go over to here. Now, traditionally, in version 1, Yearn would send the yield to what they call the transmuter. Okay, so whenever the yield is generated here, they would send that like, so I put $10 here, they send that yield to the transmuter, and the transmuter then has yield and also has some USD tokens, and people, bots, or even dollar bill could come to the transmuter and redeem AUSD for the underlying token, because this is like, think of it like USDC goes here, goes in here, gets more USDC, USD goes in here, and dollar bill could bring AUSD, so Alchemix US dollar, and redeem it for DAI or USDC, right? Or some bots can use this transmuter to maintain the peg of the curve pool, right? So as the value of AUSD goes off of peg, they could redeem, they could get some AUSD and sell it and so forth. Okay, so they can redeem, kind of keep the peg with these two things. Now, version 2 Elixir is an upgrade to the version 1 transmuter. So as you can see, I've made a new logo that's kind of a combination of this, but upgraded with some star in the back. Now I'm sure they will come up with their own logo. This is just something I built, okay? So over the next couple weeks, they said 6 weeks in the article, and I don't know how many weeks ago that was, they're going to start migrating this TVL over to the Elixir. Now, the reason why they're doing this is because they found that this transmuter became very full. There was a lot of TVL in here, way more than that was needed to maintain the peg. So what they were trying to figure out ways to use these assets to generate yield, and they were using it to like stick it back into Yearn and generate yield that way. However, they found a more interesting way to use this value, this locked value. So they put it into the Elixir. Right now, of course, this will be canceled. This sending to the transmuter, and instead the yield will be sent to the Elixir pools. And then also when people repay debt, if you have some debt, so you borrowed $50 and you want to repay your $50, right? So you can get back out your collateral, then you can either pay in AUSD or you can pay in the underlying stablecoins. So if you pay in Tether, then that will be sent to the Elixir to be used, right? And you'll understand how that works later. Why that's actually beneficial. I'll come back to that, okay? Now, what does this Elixir do with this, like these stable coins that they're getting from the Alchemix, the Yearn, and the version 1 transmuter? Is they send those to Curve to make LP tokens, and this is good for the peg. Because why? Like, let's say everybody is just borrowing AUSD and sticking it in here to get the APY, right? That's what almost people will do. They won't bring USDC here and put it in the pool, because it's better to borrow it, because then you still retain your full value. You've levered up. You've got $100, but now you still have your $100 collateral in here, but you have an extra $50. So everybody's just going to, not everybody, but most people are going to do that. They're going to put money in, get AUSD, and fill this up. So the pool's ratio will become out of balance. So there'll be tons and tons of AUSD. And this is good for the peg by the Elixir adding to the other side of the pool, the 3 pool side. Okay, so this 3 pool side is the same as these tokens here. So they get an LP token for this. So now the Elixir holds LP tokens because they've added liquidity here, and they got an LP token. Now, dollar bill would also hold LP tokens, and that's what he would have deposited into Convex. Okay. Now, occasionally, when this balance the ratio becomes very bad, they can pull AUSD out of this pool and just hold it out of circulation, just hold it in a contract somewhere, okay? So again, just pull it out, and then the balance will become more healthy. So let's say he's put 100 and they've put in 50. They could pull out 50 and then it would be 50-50, right? So that's very basic, very like an simplification, but you get the idea. So they can pull these out when the ratio is bad, and then put them back when the ratio is good, okay? Now, next thing here, let's talk about this. Now, they've been running these Olympus bonds for quite some time. So selling Alchemix tokens for CVX and other tokens as well, but CVX is one of them. So they were selling the Alchemix tokens for CVX and at a bond discount, right? And then now they have a accumulation of a large amount of CVX tokens. Now what will they do with these is they lock them into Convex, and they can use them to vote, right? But instead of voting themselves, they will delegate them to Votium. So they delegate their voting power to Votium, and then they can still, like, Votium still allows you to select who you want to vote on. So then they will vote on their own pool again, their AUSD 3 pool, and as well as the Ethereum pool as well, right? So they would delegate this vote, and because they're delegating it, they can collect their own bribes and then re-put those bribes back in to the same bribe system. So other people will vote on this too. So some of these will be depleted. They will have to probably add Alchemix, continue to add Alchemix here, but at least they can rake back some of it or a large portion of it based on the percentage of who votes versus them, right? Next. Now, I said that they were able to build 3-pool LP tokens, right? These AUSD LP tokens here, right? So what do they do with this? They stake these into Convex to earn. So because now they are like a normal player, just like Dollar Bill is here, and they're earning CVX and CRV, just like Dollar Bill is earning CVX and CRV here. Now, what will they do with this CVX? Well, they will lock it all to keep this flywheel going and getting deeper, and they're getting more and more control over it. Now, the CRV is different. They will take 10% of the CRV they earn, and they will lock it into, stake it into Convex for CVX CRV. And CVX CRV does have rewards of its own, and they will use that to add to the Elixir liquidity. Okay, so they will sell it. Some of it is 3-pool tokens, so it's already the tokens they need. And some of the rewards from CVX CRV are CVX and I believe CRV tokens, or more CVX CRV tokens. I can't remember. But anyways, so these rewards they will use to, these 3-pool reward tokens they will use to add to the depth of liquidity inside the Elixir, which will allow them to add more and also pull out more. Now, the next thing they can do is they can take this CRV, and they can sell it for Alchemix US dollars or ETH, right? They can sell them on Convex for those tokens, or sorry, on Curve, and get these tokens, and they can also burn them. Okay, so when they burn these tokens, they are lowering everybody's debt, because every AUSD token is backed by debt, right, by collateral. So if they start pulling tokens out of this pool and burning them, then people's debt is decreasing, and like the system will calculate that globally. And this is also good for the peg, so they can also pull out a lopsided peg here and burn it. So it's similar to this pulling out and taking it out of circulation. They can also pull it out and burn it in that sense. Okay. Now the last thing I'm going to talk about is this Alchemix token. So currently you can use this Alchemix token as a single staking farm to just gain some APY and just get more and more Alchemix tokens, right? However, there is some talk inside the Discord and stuff about VE Alchemix and how they can best put this to use. And I've heard that they're not actually thinking of a 4-year lock, rather something like a 2-year lock, and they're trying to decide where this thing can get to some incentivization, some yield. So like if you do lock your VE Alchemix tokens, it needs to get some sort of benefit, right? You need to have some yield, right? So maybe they could use some of these fees that they're incurring, some of these extra like yield here, or maybe they can boost people's debt repayment. So like if you are a holder of VE Alchemix, then your debt repayment will be faster from this burning and so forth. So that pretty much covers it. I hope this has been interesting and useful. I like this stuff, man. I think they've done a pretty good job here of making a self-sustaining, self-sufficient flywheel system over here with this Elixir, this version 2 Elixir thing. Okay, so thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.